So we are indeed ready to start and to jump into the metaverse. As Thomas Bach said yesterday, we need to be where the next generation is. We need to be where the people are, both physically and digitally. And this will be an exploration mostly on the digital side of things. Metaverse, a catalyst to boost fan engagement. That will be the key focus of the next session. So let me just say a few words about our next moderator. She's Emma Goudelier. She's a life-saving muse from the metaverse, from Accenture Songs, who accepted, this invitation. So we're particularly grateful to her coming from the Geneva office, directly here this morning. So if you didn't have a chance to talk, you will have the chance to talk with her, together with the speaker of this session, during the lunch break. Tempus fugit, so time flies. So let me just say that with more than 10 years of experience in digital transformation, Emma is a senior manager at Accenture Song. Accenture Song is the digital agency of Accenture, previously called Accenture Interactive. Emma belongs to the European team where she develops the metaverse and immersive commerce practice. So she is a thought leader, and I completely trust, in Emma we trust, and I give you the floor for a short round of introduction. So please, Emma, thanks a lot.
Good morning, thank you so much for being here. So my name is Emma Gourdelier, as mentioned. I'm a part of Accenture Song, where I focus on metaverse, and I help my clients across different industries to mature their thinking around metaverse and Web3 in general. So I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you so much again for the opportunity to be here. We are extremely lucky because we have an amazing panel, an amazing speaker, and I feel very lucky to be here and have the opportunity to talk with such thought leaders today. So today the topic is the metaverse and how we can use the metaverse to empower fan engagement, but use the metaverse to empower so many more topics. I just want to start this session by giving you a little bit of introduction on the metaverse. I'm sure you all remember during the pandemic when Mark Zuckerberg changed Facebook's name to Meta, and we saw billions coming into the market, metaverse platform raising, and metaverse was the most researched word on Google in one day. Obviously, what I keep telling to my client is that metaverse is a bit in the space, like people are trying to define it. We will give you a definition, but the most important thing is that metaverse is not a hype, is going to stay, and it's a pure evolution of the web that we have today. So we have been seeing the web for the past 10 years being exactly the same. A 2D experience where you consume information, but it's, to be honest, pretty boring, right? So if you do shopping online or if you talk to your friend, you're still very lonely in front of your computer consuming information. The metaverse is a pure and natural evolution of the web that we know today, and we need to accept it. It's hard for cities, communities, sport clubs, brands to accept to learn, because to progress you need to accept to learn. But the metaverse can bring so many opportunities when we look at all the immersive technology that it's composed by. So looking at the metaverse is also important to look at this new generation that is coming into the market and is getting more and more mature, so it's taking more and more space, the Gen Z. Gen Z has a complete new ways of living, of communicating with their friends, of entertaining themselves. We are going today to deep dive in this topic to understand how you, like cities, sport club, community brands need to start understanding this generation that is coming into the market and understand and adapt their way of communication. So So with me today, I'm gonna have an amazing set of speakers. First of all, I would love a big applause for Børge Hansen. Please, if you can join the stage, a futurist and of the Copenhagen Institute for Future Study Center and Future-Driven Sports Innovation. If you can have a seat, thank you so much. Not to mention a world-leading thought leader exploring how the metaverse and Web3 will affect culture communities, cities, individuals. We have a lot to learn today from you, so very nice to have you with us. Let me also welcome Lucy Mills. Please, if you can come to the stage with us, co-founder of Ready, which specifies in innovation, tech, and Web3 to supercharge women in sport. Thank you so much for being here. Please have a seat, Lucy. Lucy worked in sports and for the past 16 years over Europe and Africa, including the 4 past years at the Barcelona Football Club. She has an extensive knowledge about women in sports, Web3, and we have also a lot to learn from you, Lucy, today, so very nice to have you with us. Let me welcome also Jaime Navarro. Please, a big applause for Jaime, international delegate for Central Europe, where he's representing and leading the international business development of the Liga competition, so the Spanish Liga competition, and it's 42 clubs in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Poland, Republic Czech and Slovakia. I hope I'm not missing any countries. You have an extensive knowledge of the sports football industry. Very happy to have you, Jaime, with us today. Thank you so much. We also have Megan Loist. She is not with us today, unfortunately. She couldn't join, but she is the founder of Gen Z VC, the largest and fastest growing community for Gen Zers in tech and VC. She has more than 18K members in her community. So she is known as the queen of Gen Z. She is herself a Gen Z for sure. And she has been featuring on Bloomberg TV, Business Insider, Cosmopolitan, and she's also a Gen Z creator in terms of content and thought leaders. So with all this amazing... So I would like to deep dive the topic with you, Børge. I think for the audience, it would be good to have a definition of what is the metaverse and some concrete example if you can bring to inspire cities and sports club. We would appreciate it. So you can go. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, I have 15 minutes to give you a scratch in the surface about how we see the metaverse and this rise of immersive events. And in reality, it's a rise of the immersive life, because we are going to see a transformation the next 5 to 10, 15 years, where we are going to this from this 2D life we are living today to a more immersive way of living globally. A quick intro, and not that I'm going to talk a lot about that. I'm coming from the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies. We are the oldest foresight institute in Europe. Been here since the 60s, trying to see into what's going to happen tomorrow, the next 10, 20 years. I have a background myself as in semiotics, and I'm a leader of the department for working for sports and entertainment. So I will give it a try here. I will not give you a deep dive into how we're working, but I will just say that when we're working with the metaverse, it's quite important to state that it is something that we're going to see the next 5 to 10 years unfold. We are seeing glimpses of it today, but in our perspective, so we are not here yet where the metaverse are manifested in our life today, but we are starting to see the direction where we can see the metaverse coming up in tech, in how we organize society and so on. And as I said before, the next 10 minutes I will give you some examples. Boom. So for us, what's the metaverse? That's a big discussion. I'm doing a study now together with 100 metaverse experts around the world about definition of the metaverse. You can have that later. It will be ready in January, I think. But to start up, I think the metaverse for us is a merge between the physical and digital lives. So it's basically what it is. We are going, as we were stated before, from seeing our digital life through the mobile phone or screen to have it presented in our faces. So and how do that look in reality? I brought a video from Meta where they are looking into cycling. And I think there's 3 aspects that you are going to take notice of that when you're looking at the video. I think there's a democration aspect. I mean, how to engage participant, athletes, brands, and so on in this new realm. You will always see Meta, because Meta was actually the one who was coined the metaverse term, that they will start up with a virtual reality glasses in the video. And I think it's important to say that virtual reality is one way into the metaverse. I think there's a lot of other tech that will drive the metaverse way longer. I personally look forward to this iPhone moment. We hopefully will get March, April next year when Apple will enter the space. So whether it will be VR, AI, sound, whatever, it really doesn't matter. It's more about looking into a direction. And if you actually look at the video, you will also see that they will actually end in this showing of and more like AR glasses. But let's see how Meta see the metaverse.
We are cyclists. And we come from all over East Africa. Sule from Kenya, Seth Rwanda, Mary Uganda. But together, we're Team Amani. We dream of riding with the best, so we train like the baddest. Sule says, one day, Team Amani will ride the Tour de France. We use tech to compete, show what we can do, make connections. We've gone far, but someday, when anyone can be in any room, and everyone can compete, get next level training. When that day comes, we'll go much farther. Everybody will.
So that's the vision of like combining our normal life with this digital layer, being able to be and train with wherever. Mark Zuckerberg himself has this fantastic showpiece where he's like fencing with some of the best fencers in the world. And will it be possible? It probably will. Will it look like this? It probably won't, but we will see some of it in the future. I think for me, one of the important things to state is why interested for the metaverse, and the reason is easy because the future consumers will be in the metaverse. So if you think about having an event or a city and so on, so that's where the younger generation will be. The generation C that we're talking about today are the first generation who actually see themselves more for real in the metaverse than in live. But on the top of that, we see the generation A that is for real grasping the metaverse. And in my opinion, the generation A will be like the first metaverse-born natives generation that we'll see. So so they will be there. Also, we just had a new McKinsey report coming out that stating in 10 years that it's entirely plausible that 50% of live events could be in the metaverse. And I think that's a pretty mind-blowing number, I think, talking about live concerts, live sports, and so on, that we will see this transformation where the younger generation actually consider it as real, as live, seeing and be part of the events, whether it's a sport or concert in the metaverse, than in real life. I think it's a mind-blowing statement that we need to talk way more about, especially for our generation. I brought this again, not because we need to talk a lot about the theory behind what's going on in the metaverse, but if you don't know the Gartner Hype Cycle, it's a very good tool. It's a tool that comes every year to state what's going on with the trends in tech. And I brought this hype cycle for emerging trends that we can see. It's actually the first time the metaverse has entered the hype cycle. So Gartner will state that the next 5 to 10 years, that will be one of the most important trends to follow. We also see, because I mean, the metaverse is a lot of things that we can't talk about today, but there's like an underlayer toolbox of Web3 that we've been developing for the last many years, like crypto, blockchain, NFT. So the Gartner hype cycle will give you a tool to talk about where is the hype at the moment. And I think, especially in the sports world, and I know that you're going to talk about that later from a Liga perspective, I mean, there's a reason why NFTs, for example, is going down. And then we can take it in the debate room later why that's happening. But we can see, so the next 1 to 2 years, I mean, the NFT hype will fall, but it doesn't mean that the technology under the NFT doesn't work on the long-term perspective, because in my opinion, it does. We just need to talk about what's going on in the market at the moment. Having such a short presentation, I think from your perspectives, it's important to know that the metaverse is it's not about only the fans, it's about the ecosystem. So I brought a small video from the US here to talk about digital trends, because I think that's one of the most interesting part of the metaverse at the moment for you as host cities or as cities in whole. Providing all this data we have at the moment and organizing it. We at the moment in Europe, we are looking into this energy crisis. We see facilities shutting down. I live in Copenhagen, where we are discussing at the moment to shut down some of the ice hockey stadiums, for example, because they use so much energy. But we actually have like this whole cities where we can build up a digital layer and build a metaverse facility. And that's going to be quite interesting in the years to come. I mean, you can choose to be the one who's building it, but you could also choose to let other one build it. And I think that's going to be quite an interesting topic for the next years to follow, who's actually going to connect the dots. But let's see this video I have brought.
What if this isn't just a stadium? What if it's actually a data source that could shape the future of football to help keep players healthy, safer, and reduce injuries? The NFL with Amazon Web Services is using artificial intelligence to create the digital athlete, an injury prevention and prediction tool, running any play, from any angle, in any condition. We're talking infinite simulations, because striving to make the game safer is no longer a what if, but what's next.
So basically, what's next is that at the moment we need to find a way to organize all the data we have. We need to organize the data we have from a player perspective, from a club perspective, from a right holder perspective, and it will all merge into this metaverse that we'll see a glimpse of, or it will develop in the future. So I think it's very interesting when I look at events at the moment, trying to build this digital trends. What can it do? How can we use the data it's presenting us, and so on. It's going to be quite an interesting ride the next couple of years to see that. I think also it's interesting, and you actually started saying that, and I think that's very important, that the metaverse is not a revolution, it's more like an evolution. I've been here long enough to remember Web3 coming out, where you saw sports organizations thinking about why should we at all be at the internet in a Web3 and a Web1 format. I also was old enough to remember when the mobile came out, and we were all like talking about why should we go mobile. Now we have like this Web1 web page, we will do fine. So, and what we are seeing in this Web3 movement that we're entering with the metaverse and blockchain and AI is the same bit fatigue in the innovation that we are saying, why are we going into this space? And the reason is, again, that the user will be there, and it's a natural way to evolve on our internet presence. So when you are like hearing all these things at the moment, there's no people in the central land. Is it another second life? I think it's important to see all the breadcrumbs around that points towards the metaverse at the moment, and see the directions instead of seeing things that is isolated in VR or Decentraland as with no users and so on. So it's a direction that we are going to look into. And I mean, everybody is asking, so what's about the big Apple, for example? I mean, why are they not entering the metaverse? And they are. Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, was actually in September out seeing that zoom into the future and look back, you will wonder how you led your life without augmented reality. Just like today, we wonder how did people like me grow up without the internet? And I think that is the situation we are standing in. I mean, things are accelerating and develop so fast that it's actually hard to grasp how much things is accelerating at the moment. So I totally agree with Tim that if we'll go out and that's what we do as futurists and look back, we will see that today is at a breaking point for the metaverse. So it's going to be quite interesting, right? Yes. Not to bore you, I mean, if you want to deep dive into the metaverse, I think it's important to start learning the terms, the ropes, educate yourself about what is the tool of the metaverse. I mean, why are the users here? Who are the users? Should we do a test run? Should we be in the Decentraland like La Liga is at the moment? Should we be in VR? I don't know. I think the important thing at the moment is try to educate yourself about what is going on. And actually, when I work with a lot of sports organizations at the moment, I think creating a language about what is the metaverse, what is a plausible future for your city, your organizations, how will your part be in the future? So my advice would be to educate yourself, try to grasp, try to understand that the metaverse at the moment is not one thing, but it's one direction, and we have more plausible futures that the metaverse will evolve into. So so educate yourself and be brave. That's my advice. So I will end it here. I still have 10 seconds, but I think we'll just shut it down here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Indeed, there is a lot to say on the metaverse. We could be here for pretty much days, but we are trying to summarize as much as we can to give you a novel view. Just as a conclusion, I think we saw concrete example. The NFL is a concrete example, and it's working. When you think about metaverse, don't think about VR only, because this is not VR only. It's not about 3D worlds only. It's a combination of technology that can bring the best experience to people. So this is, I think, how we need to think about it. But thank you so much. I would love to give the switch now to Lucy, because this is going to give us a bit of an overview of how the challenge for women in sports and how we can use Web3 in general and prepare ourselves and for the sports to be able to replay. So thank you so much, Lucy.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, so hi everyone. Yeah, I'm Lucy Mills, co-founder of Ready. We are igniting curiosity, learning and application of innovation, technology and Web3 to supercharge women's sport. And I'll talk a little bit about Ready later. Gonna kind of switch track a little bit. My presentation kind of comes a little bit out of the blue, but I hope it serves to be useful kind of thought and contribution to the discussions today. So I really love the contributions about Gen Z from Megan and Charlotte this morning, kind of looking at the intersectional generation as an intersectional lens as to the way that we are understanding and experiencing sport. And so I'm coming at this with a lens on particularly on gender and women's sport. So yeah, my presentation today, just setting the scene, looking at innovation and Web3 from the potential to overcome systemic challenges within women's sport, and digging into some of the ways that we're seeing Web3. So women's sport is growing, it's professionalizing, it's commercializing. We're seeing incredible events, the Rugby League World Cup right now, the Rugby Women's World Cup right now, the brilliant Euros in the summer. My team won. It's, you know, there's a lot of growth, there's a lot of excitement around developing the women's game. However, there are systemic challenges that are still preventing women's sport in most parts of the world thrive, right? So the growth that we're seeing is concentrated to a handful of countries still. There are traditional institutions, governing bodies, gatekeepers that are systemically leaving women and girls on the sidelines. We're often treated as an afterthought, with, you know, small percentages of budgets being allocated, and progress is slow. And often the decisions around investment and allocation of resources are not led by those who have the best interests of women and women's sport at heart. And why I'm saying all of this is because if we're thinking about live entertainment, if we're thinking about metaverse, we also have to be conscious of who is participating in the metaverses and who is designing these experiences, and are they actually inclusive. So I start off with a rather somber kind of snapshot of the reality of the inequalities in sport at the moment, and then there's this curious paradox going on. Right? So what we're seeing is that professional sports clubs and leagues and federations and brands are investing a lot. They're taking risks. They're innovating. You know, you'll see metaverse teams pop up by English Premier League clubs. So there's a lot of resource, there's a lot of investment going into, you know, dropping NFT projects, metaverses, but actually a lot of this, and we actually saw the 2 videos there that Booger presented, were about men's sport, and a lot of this investment is focused on top-end men's professional sport, right? Which actually is ironic, because when we think about women's sport is often a startup, right? So innovation is nothing new for us. We have been innovating and being resourceful and creative and hustling for decades, often against laws that prohibited women to play, etc. Right? So I feel like we feel very strongly that actually people in women's sport, men and women, and are very, very well poised to think about innovation because we've been doing this forever, right? So Web3, just quickly, obviously, Booger alluded to it now, it's the third age of the internet, a blockchain vision, a blockchain version of the internet, but it's also quite problematic. Web3 and some of the terms that many of you will have seen, we don't have time to get into them now, but you know, blockchain, crypto, NFTs, metaverse, they're tools, they're not inherent solutions. We're seeing when we look at the demographics, even, for example, with the Australian Open metaverse last year, the individuals in those metaverses very skewed towards boys and men. And I think also, you know, Web3 is full of hype and volatility and skepticism, and many of you will be very aware of this. So it's kind of a bit of a tricky landscape that we're working in right now. So some of the ways that we're seeing Web3 in sport today. So at Ready, we generally categorize that we're seeing Web3 intersect with sport in 4 main ways. So innovation of existing products and services. So there was an idea that talked about this, about evolution, right? So those old-fashioned like playing cards, now they're digital cards, gaming. So that's kind of one example. The second, unlocking new revenues, which sports brands and properties love. So athletes commercializing their own intellectual property, often for the first time through the availability of digital assets. Clubs and leagues thinking about how to monetize and commercialize their own assets in new and exciting ways. The third one, which is really where metaverse sits, so appealing to new audiences, building communities, improving fan engagement. Here, meeting Gen Z where they are, like the UEFA recent women's example in Roblox is a really nice one, where they wanted to bring the women's football and the Euros to 10 to 12-year-old children, so they took it to Roblox. And then the last one, there's owning sports clubs and ventures. So blockchain technology offers the possibility to create new organizational structures and organize people around capital and projects for the first time. So we're increasingly seeing decentralized autonomous organizations owning, kind of creating these new governance structures for sport. And across all four, again, very weighted towards men's top-end professional sport, but we are seeing some quite cool stuff within women's sport. So we're seeing athletes like Naomi Mecha, who's a Team GB triple jumper. She's got her own NFT collection that is supporting under-supported athletes. We're seeing clubs like Angel City Football Club drop their, in an opt-in, opt-out way, NFTs that symbolize cool moments of the season. We're also seeing, 2 minutes left. Wow, I've got a timer ticking over here. So, what's the opportunity for women's sport? So, if we think about those systemic challenges, for me, governance is one of the biggest challenges facing women's sport today. Are we, and for the first time ever, Web3 offers potential opportunities around forming new structures that can centralize and give voice and ownership to women's sports fans for the first time. Can we think about Web3 in terms of unlocking new fundraising and investment opportunities? Can we think about new ways to commercialize assets? I think a metaverse example. Can we think about exciting ways to forge direct and more meaningful connections and experiences with women athletes? We know that women's sport has developed and grown largely thanks to digital media, because traditional media left us on the sideline for so long, slowly changing. But again, metaverse is exciting from a media point of view, offering immersive experiences. And of course, thankfully, we have this brilliant Gen Z generation who are crypto natives, digital natives, metaverse natives, and they can also help supercharge women's sport. So, a minute left. What are we doing at Ready? So we notice this gap, right? That people in women's sport are quite far away from Web3 and these buzz terms, and it's all quite confusing and alienating. The language is technical, the crypto bros and all of that. So we set out to break that down. We set out to ignite curiosity and learning and bring people in women's sport and women closer to these issues. So we also don't want to be gatekeepers information as well. So we have open free courses, we run trainings, we run workshops with different women's sports groups and collectives. We have events where we bring together students and coders and people working in women's sport. And next weekend, I'm in Lisbon for a hackathon thinking about solutions for women's sport. So yeah, and we launched on the 23rd of June, which is, of course, the anniversary of Title IX, the Olympic Day, and we're just getting going. So if there's the socials, if any of you are with a federation or brand, club, and you're interested in just breaking down some of this terminology around blockchain and Web3, come speak to me after. This is the stuff we love, and yeah, happy to connect with you all offline. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Woman power, you see, I'm very happy to see women in this area, honestly. Sorry, guys, but this is amazing. And so we discussed, how we can innovate. You mentioned NFT, that I don't know if all of you are familiar with this term, which is an NFT is the possibility to own a digital asset. So we see many examples coming, and I think it's a good opportunity to fan engagement and how to engage fans through co-creation with the sports club, or we can be very creative on this, and I think it can be very powerful. And to continue on this, actually Jaime, who is from La Liga, as I mentioned before, is going to explain us the strategy, so La Liga's strategy towards the metaverse and all the new fan-focused technology that you guys use to engage with fans. So thank you so much.
Hi. I hope I have time with these 10 minutes to explain the different initiatives that we are carrying out in La Liga. I guess everyone knows here what La Liga is, but for those who don't, we are the Spanish Professional Football Association that manages the 2 first divisions in Spain and the 42 member clubs. Since 2014, La Liga has undergone a fully scaled digital transformation, trying to become a data-driven and digital company with the aim to be closer to our fans and to get world-class content. And our technology strategy is focused on 5 core areas. One is that the fan has to be at the center. Second is that we want to deliver the best experience to them. Third is that we want to solve today's business challenges. And fourth is that we want to work with industry leaders. And 5, and most important, is that we are here to experiment, to analyze, and to trial and error. So in the end, we want to get our hands dirty with these new technologies. So I brought you these initiatives in the field of metaverse. It's a new way of consumption where many of our consumers can be, or many of our potential consumers could be. And that's why we want to be there without any exclusivity, just trying to experiment, as I was saying. Also, we are in the world of NFTs with Vapor, and we are doing gaming with Sorare, that it's kind of NFTs and gaming, and also giving many licenses like Minecraft, and don't forgetting about social media and these new platforms like TikTok, not new, but platforms for new generations like TikTok and Snapchat. So here you can see our first experience in metaverse. This is Green Park. It's a virtual universe that it's available in North America, in USA and Canada. And the dynamics is, as you can see in the video, you have your avatar. You can have your kits from your jerseys from your club as an NFT. And the aim of it is to become the best fan of your competition. But this is not only in the world that you can see that this is La Liga world in the metaverse. We also coexist with another licenses like MLS, like soccer league in USA, League Championship Series that it's League of Legends, and NBA. And in the end, you have to fight to be the best fan in sports. And you get rewards in NFTs that can be translated to jerseys in the digital world, or even jerseys in the real world, trips to Spain, and so on and so on. Our second experience, it's going to be launched. It's with Stadio Plus in the Centraland, as Buge was saying. We are going to have our own space in the metaverse of the Centraland that it's going to be launched soon. I don't know exactly when, maybe next month. And there you will have the possibility to attend digital events in the stadium. So if you hold a season pass, you could have these experiences there in the digital world, also attend to museum spaces, digital merch, and it will be like a social hub, like a bar in the real world, but in the metaverse. And as the others initiatives, there will be games, rewards, and if the experience as a whole is a good thing, it will be something that will be very interesting for our sponsors, that you can put it as another asset in your sponsorship agreements. And third, in metaverse, we are working with TVM. that it will be, they are building just sports metaverse in the digital world. They are our sponsorship in the metaverse, and they are trying to do virtual experiences with augmented reality. And it will be also a very good point for content interaction from La Liga, their partners. It's also important that it's free to use, so there will be no barrier for them. And as the others, they will have a reward system based around NFTs. And moving forward to gaming, we are working since a year with Daper, that it's also known for doing the NBA Top Shop. We launched our platform that it's Golazos, and they are digital collectibles to buy, to collect. It's something like this that you see there. And they have their archives from La Liga from 2006 and 2007, and you will be able to buy goals, celebrations, and so on. And it's also a democratic platform because you also can buy them with credit card and cryptocurrency, so there is no barrier for people who don't know what crypto is. And as same, it will have real-world prizes, and if you are into this, they are launching their major NFT drop tomorrow. So if you want to get one NFT from La Liga, you are still in time. And this is
football
the
belongs
trailer.
to us all.
The beautiful game is in our blood.
It's in the way we move and chant.
Our heroes become a part of us.
Their victories are our victories. Every 90 minutes is a lifetime.
Filled with drama and soul. And we feel it all.
On the vision.
On the opponents.
On the beauty.
On the golazos.
On the moments. Get closer to the game than ever before. Buy and own La Liga digital collectibles.
And going forward with gaming, this is Sorare. This is a typical fantasy game, but based on NFTs. So it's good to connect with the fans of young generations. And in the end, it's also a free-to-play NFT games with in-game purchases. So you can trade, collect, and own them. It's as when we were kids, you have these trading cards, but in the digital world. And also you can do your lineup every match day, and depending on what your players are doing in the real world, you will get some points, and those points can be redeemed for real prizes. And yes, in the end, you just don't have La Liga license there. You have many leagues, also MLB from baseball, NBA, and I think it's the future of fantasy games. We recently have reached another licensing agreement with Minecraft for 2 seasons. There will be only the 20 clubs of the first division, and they are selling skins packs. There will be 80 skin club-related jerseys, and it will be available in all the platforms where Minecraft is. Also, they will be able to buy them or to try them just in the dressing room to see how your avatar is looking with La Liga jerseys. And yes, and moving to social media, this is something I think everyone knows, but we do a lot of filters and challenges every year that they have a lot of interactions. You can see here an example. And this looks really simple, but you get to have a million of interactions with these kinds of challenges. And also a milestone from La Liga was that we broadcasted the match Real Sociedad Betis last season on the 32nd match day on free-to-air and vertical format in the app with commentators from from the platform, and we got these good numbers, and it was a really good experience. And also we have a monthly program, Play La Liga, that is a show that it's doing with casters and influencers, and also they are doing interviews to players in a very fresh way. And last but not least, we are also in Snapchat. We had this agreement a couple of weeks ago, and also we will have a La Liga show and many AR experience and more filters and so on. And this is the way we are showing the La Liga in this platform. So if you are not aware, Benzema is Ballon d'Or, and I have to show it. And okay, that was all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So do we still have time for some questions? No? Okay. Then thank you. I would like to thank you all. I think it was an amazing time to discuss metaverse, and we hope we could give you some answers and some example of concrete example of what we can do in this space.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Emma, once again. Thanks to the speakers. There will be questions. Maybe, over lunch. But I'm sorry. There is very little time. Let me say this. Thanks again. Just stay with me on the podium if you don't mind. That means we have to be quicker. A little bit. Now this is not the end. It's not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning, said Winston Churchill. So take the ideas, the presentation, the spirit of professional dialogues developed in Lausanne with you. As Buga said, it's all about the ecosystem. So mostly in challenging times like this, it's a matter of building the community. This is the spirit of smart cities and sport. And to quote Lucy from Ready, this is the stuff we love. This is universal. It's to a certain extent our common call to action. We heard many presentations in these last 2 days. I wanted to end with a note we owe by a Gen Z member, Amanda Gorman, a poet, that you probably seen in the inauguration speech by the President Biden. But she was calling on the leaders of the world at the United Nations General Assembly in one of the side events that was taking place there in September. And she was saying this, and this relates to all the things that we need to do. It is a universal call for action. So think of your city, think of your smart city or your Olympic city, think of your smart organization. And it goes like this. To anyone, I ask you that you care before it's too late, that you live aware and awake, that you lead with love in hours of hate. I challenge you to heed this call. I dare you to shape your fate. Above all, I dare you to do good so that the world might be great. And with that, I wanted to leave you, but wrap up and conclusion, as I said, it's the end of the beginning, so there's no time for conclusion. And while I invite maybe, the speakers, to step down, we wait for a special announcement. If you can now go. You're free to go. Maybe protocolar-wise, it wasn't perfect.